What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL Genius Gene Wolzak, and in the upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cuttrell.
Gentlemen, how are we doing? We are in the thick of football season. I'm excited. I'm excited this Wednesday. Playoffs are rolling around for baseball. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, you would be excited this Wednesday. I'm not excited. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm still like a little annoyed over Monday night, bro. I'm just being honest with you. I'm very, very annoyed over what happened Monday night. And I'm just calling it like it is. I got a little bit of event, but it isn't towards the Eagles or the Falcons. It's towards the morons that I'd be having conversations with. I can't deal with it. Upper right corner, I got Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross.
I share some of that same anguish that you speak of, but overall, NFL is it's a quick reset. You gotta take your lumps with your wins in the same stride, and get ready for the next week. So we got another big game this week. So looking forward to hopefully a better performance.
Accurate statement. We're going to recap some stuff from this past week in the NFL. We'll talk about the Tua concussion that happened Thursday night. We'll talk about Bryce Young being benched, and we'll give a little jab on the Eagles, give a conversation there. But we're going to preview a lot more this week. We're not going to do as much recap. It is Wednesday. We're going to preview what we're looking at in the following week. We got college football. Going to talk a lot of college football. But if you want the full scoop of college football, you got Sideline to Sideline. Happens every Saturday. We're going to coast to coast, sideline to sidelines, all NFL. My bad.
Ooh, that show.
UFC recap, and then a little MLB magic number conversation. Talk about where we're at there. But we got a lot to get into. And I want to start with Thursday night. I want to start with Tua. Another concussion. And this one did not seem like it was on, in my opinion, that hard of a hit. I feel like that once you have a concussion, you're more susceptible to other concussions. I've heard that conversation many times. I know that Tua said he's not retiring. I understand that. Comments by Antonio Pierce said I would retire. A lot of people around the NFL. The Dolphins placed him on IR. I do want to give one positive glimmer of hope. Mike McDaniel is a guy that I would send any one of my kids, anybody I would want to go play for. I would go play for someone like that. The response that he gave to Tua, saying you are the quarterback of your family, that the way he handled himself in the press conference and the media, I want to give him his flowers. They're due. Great way to handle yourself as a head coach. Great way to handle yourself as a leader. But conversation, let's open up on Tua. We haven't had a chance to comment on it. Cottrell, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the concussion. What do you think is the future for Tua? And I don't just understand. I'll pass to you, and then I'll kind of fill in at the end.
So, I mean, obviously, it's crazy unfortunate what happened to Tua here. And for this to be on a primetime game again, like yet again, where everybody can see what happened, like it just makes matters that much work. Obviously, it's bad wherever it happens, no matter who's watching. But for it to be a primetime game, just sheds more bad light on just where Tua's health is at right now, honestly. I think that he should be seriously considering retirement, but as far as it goes, I don't think he will. I think he wants to go out of this game on his own terms and not have this, force him out. But when these things start to happen and like you're noticing as a fan, not even in the stadium, not even on the field, like you're noticing as a fan watching TV, the severity of these injuries and these concussions for him, where he's basically like convulsing every time like some type of hit happens to his head, where like you see his body tense up and his hand motions just start going crazy and things like that. I think at that point you have to realize that maybe this game isn't for you anymore. And like you mentioned, this wasn't even on that bad of a hit. I mean, in this case here, Tua initiated the contact. It wasn't a helmet to helmet. He basically hit DeMar Hamlin right in the chest. And, we saw what happened afterwards. So I would think that in the game of football, a lot more violent hits happen and a lot more purposeful hits happen. In this case, Tua initiated. This could have easily been a defender coming from a blind side where it smacked him, and this could have been a whole lot worse than what it already was. So I think Tua needs to ultimately consider that retirement. But I think when you've been playing this game for as long as he has, and now playing it at the level that he is, as far as like talent wise, and he just got paid, I think he wants to go out on his own terms. But I mean, he's got a lot of important things to think about here, being married, having kids, and things like that.
It's facts. Shall, your thoughts on the game?
I think Cottrell hit on a lot of the important stuff. I think you look at, going out on your own terms. I think that's a risk you run now. You're talking about a guy who's had 4 in the last couple of years. You get a really bad hit again, like you guys have both mentioned. Look like kind of an innocuous hit, like you're just kind of leaning into, to Hamlin and kind of get that extra yard and go down. You definitely see his head like take the brunt of the impact, but again, nothing that would be considered serious on an NFL level. And he has a definite reaction to it. And you listen to some of the doctors that have talked about it. When you have the seizures, the hand seizures and stuff like that, it's a definite sign of a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury. Gene mentioned the important part. Once you have one, you become more susceptible to have them over and over and over again. Because once you have one, it's kind of like a seal. Like once you have one, you never fully get back to ground zero. Like it's kind of like a seal you break, and you never fully get back to fully healed. And I think a lot of people are some of the old guard guys like Antonio Pierce. He was around in the NFL. He was still playing in the NFL when they really didn't care about concussions. And those guys were playing through them. Like he's probably seen teammates, like have them and go back out in the field and probably are struggling later on in life. We've seen how many superstars have had CTE and committed suicide or committed crimes. If he doesn't want to retire and he really does want to give it another chance, I think that's one thing. That's, again, that's another conversation, he can have. He's got to be done for the year. I don't think there's any way he could play this year, because this isn't a 19-year-old kid trying to make a team or a 20-year-old kid trying to make a team. He has money. He's married. He has kids now. Like to Mike McDaniel's point, he already has a roadmap for what is after football. He has to be a father. He has to be a husband. In the end all be all, that is more important. He's got paid. He got his money. I think he seriously has to consider it. And I get wanting to go out. Everybody wants to go out on their own shield and write their own story and write their own ending. But we've seen it in sports that's kind of the one of the parts of the passion about sports. You don't always get happy endings, and that's why people get so emotionally wrapped up in sports. Like sometimes the good guy doesn't get to doesn't win in the end, and he doesn't get to finish the story the way he wants to. And I think he's in that territory, unfortunately. And again, I think we talk about is he a good quarterback? Is he not a good quarterback? Stuff like that, and we get caught up in all that sometimes. I don't think anybody ever said a bad word about Tua, like ever. As he is, who he is as a human being. Again, I think in a minimum, he can't play the rest of the year. To Cottrell's point, if he does take a blindside hit or, he goes to scramble out and there's a guy coming the other way and he unfortunately takes that, helmet to helmet hit or gets slammed to the ground again, he's at the point where he could take another bad one where he doesn't recover from it. Like he's in that danger zone, unfortunately. So if he doesn't want to retire, being a competitor and being a professional athlete, I'm sure it's hard, and I totally understand it. I think for a minimum, he's got to shut it down this year, though. He's totally got to just let his body reset and heal. You're seeing it in other sports, even like racing. Like you look at like Kurt Busch, who was early 40s 2 years ago, and he said he got so used to taking the test he could fib them, and he got in a really bad accident at a race a couple years ago, and then still passed the concussion test. And he's like, I went home for 3 days and I couldn't walk straight, and he retired because he was just like, it is absolutely 100%, affected my life now. I don't want to risk getting another one. And auto racing, you could even argue you have way less control over what happens to yourself than you do in football. So, I think the more we learn about TBIs and brain injuries and concussions and CTE, you're starting to really see how much damage these guys really do to themselves. And I think, I think he's a lot to worry about outside of football. So I think he seriously has to consider it. We'll see what happens.
I want to read this comment out. Mike put in the chat. As someone with a traumatic brain injury, Bill hit it right on the money. You never get fully healed, even when you feel 100%. Doesn't matter what you do, the specialist you see, it's something that has to be taken seriously. You get the help that you needed because each day is a blessing, and you never really know what can happen tomorrow, especially with a traumatic brain injury. Great comment, Mike. What's up, Kelsey? Welcome back. Appreciate you checking in. There's just a lot of different things I want to touch on with this, but I think the thing that's most, and this isn't the time for it, and I understand I might get shit for even bringing it up, but this is why that contract took so long to sign, because Miami knew he was one hit away from being in this scenario. It's $91 million guaranteed if he retires tomorrow. It's $122 million if they do it right by him. So it's a lot of money to be on the hook for, but I agree 100% with Bill. I agree with Cottrell. He's got to think about his family life. He's got to be the quarterback of his own family, and I understand that completely. And I hate talking about money. I get it, but the team's going to be salary cap struck if he does retire, which I think he should do. He got his money.
If he does, though, don't they? I think they get some kind of relief somewhere.
They do. Medical. He signed like a $240 million contract. They're on the hook for $91 million of it. $92 million of it.
But I think they even get to write some of that off the books if it's medical.
It's possible.
I could see the NFL doing some sort of exemption or like something along the lines of that, given this specific situation. But even with that, though, like speaking of the NFL, there's got to be a point where the NFL steps in here. I think Tua he could potentially be a problem of he could be his own worst enemy in this situation. Obviously, the kid wants to go out there. He wants to play football. Like he's already said, this isn't going to be the end of me. So I think at some point you can bring in all the neurologists and things like that you want to. At some point, the NFL has to say, hey, we can even put you on like some NFL list where you still get your money, and we won't necessarily just say it's on the Dolphins to make sure you get paid, things like that. But there has to potentially be some sort of intervention here, because if you keep throwing Tua out there on prime time, and again, it doesn't have to be prime time. It could be 1 o'clock. It could be literally whenever game is being played. But you keep throwing this out there, especially with the state of the game where it feels like every single offseason we're adding in another rule for player safety and another rule for player safety. And then you keep trotting him back out there knowing what's happened in his past. It just feels like malpractice to me. So I feel like at some point you either have to get a statement from Roger Goodell saying, hey, we're doing all that we can, or you have to get some action to say, hey, Tua, we know you want to play, but we just don't think this is in your best interest right now.
I do want to move on to Sunday and talk about some things that happened on Sunday. We're not going to talk about all the games, but every game except 3 on Sunday and Monday were 1-possession games. The NFL parity is fitting in right. This has been a hell of a start to the NFL season. Huge upsets happening Sunday with the Raiders upsetting the Ravens. The Ravens are now 0-2. There's a lot of things going on. But one of the things that wasn't really a surprise to many people, unless you were me, because I'm a dummy and follow the trends. The Carolina Panthers got the doors blown off. I don't care about talking about that game. But what I do want to talk about is just 2 games into the Dave Canales era in Carolina. Bryce Young has been benched. I have some thoughts on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But if I'm Bryce Young, and I mean this when I say this, I would invite either one of you guys to argue or debate with me here. But if I'm Bryce Young, I'm immediately asking out of that franchise. I want out of Carolina yesterday. And before anybody says, well, he wasn't playing well and you have to keep the locker room and you have to keep the wide receivers, 100% get that. Why didn't he play any preseason? Please help me understand that. You want to talk about a guy that didn't play well last year, new system, new head coach, played 1 series in the preseason. 2 games in they brought Canales in. Remember the whole conversation? We're going to bring him in, and he's going to work with Bryce Young. He's a guy. They fired Frank Wright last year, who wanted C.J. Stroud because they wanted to find a guy to work with Bryce. They used a number 1 draft pick on. And not only did they use a number 1 draft pick, they gave up number 1 picks. They gave up DJ Moore. They gave up a ton to get this guy in the building. Canales is in there for 2 weeks, And I knew this was going to go bad in July when they asked Canales about the offense and building it around Bryce Young. And his response was, no, we're not building the offense around Bryce Young. He's going to work into the offense we build. That's not the good idea. Not the right move for a 5'9", 175-pound quarterback that you took with the number 1 overall pick. You've made that investment. You can't run a pro-style offense when a guy's 5'9", 175 pounds. You just can't do it. Carolina has failed this kid on every level. Absolutely terrible situation to walk into, to a coach and a quarterback coach that did not want you in the building to begin with. Then you fire them. You have no backup plan. You bring in another guy who's like, oh, no, we're going to build a system, our own system. This has been terrible from the jump. Now, is Bryce Young ever going to get it? I don't know. But what I will say is this, and here's my point 1 and point 2. How's Baker Mayfield look this year? Pretty good. How's Sam Darnold look this year? Pretty good. Where were their last starting stops? Carolina. It's an absolute mess there, and it shows when you put the right coordinators, the right coaching around some of these blue chip prospects, they can succeed. I don't think this is the end of Bryce Young. What are your thoughts on it? Either one of you guys can go on this one.
I'll go quick because I pretty much agree across the board with you. It's funny. We talked about this on Coast to Coast, and actually with Drew Aller about how I think Penn State's failed him. I think it's a very similar situation. It almost reminds me of Justin Fields 2.0, to be honest. You draft a kid, you trade it, debatably the best player in the NFL the year before he gets there. You end up trading away DJ Moore, a bunch of ones. You've not rebuilt an offensive line. The defense is bad. Like you said, he's in his second year. He's on his second head coach. He's on his second coaching staff. It's not ideal. It's an awful situation. The owner's been embroiled in other scandals. It's become one of the more, if not the most poorly run NFL franchise right now. And that's saying something. We talk about it all the time. We make the joke about Gene's slogan, marry the coach, marry the quarterback. But if you're that invested in this kid that you traded away all this stuff, how are you not building an offense around him that is going to make him succeed the best? And to your point, we've seen these other guys that have been written off, the Bakers, Darnolds, again, even Justin Fields, for an example. Justin Fields leaves Chicago, and all of a sudden they're spending money left and right on the defense. They're bringing in weapons, and they let that kid run around and get his head cut off for 4 years. It's poorly run. It's poorly executed. If I am Bryce Young, I absolutely be like, get me the hell out of here. I will literally go somewhere else where I can learn the offense for a year and come back and try to compete for the starting job next year. That team is not going to be better anytime soon. I don't care who the quarterback is. Like, come on, Andy Dalton. Like that's your answer. That's your answer to Bryce Young not playing well. We're to throw Andy Dalton out there. I don't know what.
See, Bill, I don't blame them for.
No. I get it. But my point is, what like, if you're saying Bryce Young's playing awful, and that's really what you think the problem is, if you're saying Andy Dalton's the answer, then that is saying that you don't think there's any issues anywhere else across the team. You're saying Bryce Young is the problem. Bryce Young is the reason you're not winning football games. It's not the fact that he gets hit 12 times a game through 2 games. It's not the fact that they can't run the ball with either quarterback consistently. It's not that they have the worst offensive line in the league. It's not that their defense is a leaking sieve across all aspects, running, rush, pass rush. Like they can't stop anybody. So Bryce Young is the sole reason that football team's not good. That's what you're telling me. So we're going to put Andy Dalton in. He's going to be Mr. Consistent, Mr. Checkdown guy. And Carolina's going to compete Sunday. Is that what I'm expecting to see? Because that's the message you're sending me. You're sending me that Bryce Young is the problem. And again, I'm not saying Bryce Young's not playing well, but nobody else in that football team is playing well. Nobody. The team stinks. The roster sucks.
Yeah, I think the thought process behind it is he wants to salvage the locker room because the locker room is seeing Bryce Young struggle. And like, once again, I don't think that it's a terrible coaching move to sit him down right now. I don't. I think all the things that lead to them sitting him down right now is the issue. him not playing in the preseason, them not building an offense around him. Cottrell, tell me I'm wrong, please.
No, I mean, I think though I actually agree with you in the sense of I don't think this is necessarily the wrong move by throwing Andy Dalton in there, but if you're telling me like I have to buy this notion that all camp, all off season, you saw Bryce Young run your offense, you saw Andy Dalton run your offense, and week 1 you say, hey, we feel like we have the best chance to win with Bryce Young as our starting quarterback. If that's what you thought week 1, I don't know how that has changed from week 1, week 2 till now. Because Andy Dalton would have been in practice. Like if you still had question marks about Bryce Young at that point, it'd have been like, hey, he's not quite ready to run this offense. And at that point, that's fine. I understand Bryce Young started all the games last year for Carolina, but this is a completely new regime. He is still a young kid, 22, 23 years old, whatever, however old he is. I think you can 100% get away with saying, hey, Bryce isn't ready to step in right now. And then if the Panthers, they come out the gate and they're struggling, they're 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, and it's like, all right, let's see what Bryce has. And then I don't think you don't shoot his confidence completely by saying week 1, he's not ready to be the starter. That's why you didn't see him in the preseason. We weren't ready to throw him out there. Like he's still learning the system. He has a ton of talent, a ton of potential. But by throwing him out there and hanging him out to dry these first 2 games of the year and just throwing in Andy Dalton, like you guys have both already mentioned, there is nothing in me that says, hey, Andy Dalton's going to be the reason why this team is, turned a corner, they're playing better or anything like that. I think you would have saw that either in the preseason or in practice and camp, something before right now. I think the Panthers have played this absolutely awful. And the worst part about it is you're going to look back in history, and we talk about the Sean Watson trade, things like that. We're going to look back at this as being, no matter what Bryce Young is moving forward, if he's a superstar, if he's an absolute bust, we're going to talk about this being one of, if not the worst trade in NFL history. Because the Panthers have played that hand already. There is no salvaging that.
All right. Well, the last thing I want to talk about, recapping last week, is the decision made on Monday Night Football. A lot of people that listen to this show are Eagles fans. I need to give my take on it. I need to hear your take on it. But 3rd and 3, no timeouts left. A minute. Let me just give you the whole scenario. 1 minute and 46 seconds left on the clock. They run, basically, in my opinion, the perfect play. They get Saquon Barkley wide open in the flat for the first down. Saquon, lapse of judgment, looks downfield, takes his eye off the ball, drops the pass. The Eagles kick a field goal, minute 46. Falcons go right downfield. The Eagles are playing prevent defense way too early. Quinyon Mitchell allows a huge play to Darnell Mooney on the left sideline. And within a minute, the Atlanta Falcons were at the 6-yard line. Just make this very simple. It was the right play call. And if you're criticizing Nick Sirianni for that play call, but not criticizing Saquon Barkley or Kellen Moore, you just don't like the coach. And that's okay to not like the coach. I was very adamant that the coach should be fired, but this is not where you raise your stake here. That was the right play call. And for anybody who goes, well, I would have ran the clock, ran the ball, and dreamed to 40 seconds and kicked the field goal. Do you not think that Atlanta, who moved down the sidelines in 1 minute, no issues, would have had an issue doing it in 54 seconds versus 1 minute and 3 seconds? I don't think that, do the math. The Eagles got the ball back with 42 seconds left. Do the math. It was a minute. They had it for a minute. You run the 40 seconds off the clock. Look, I'll take the whole Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. Hello? And Andre, I see you in the chat. Just want to address you for a minute. I don't know what type of 4-leaf clovers you have in your pocket. I don't know what type of, for you to celebrate that win, I'm happy your team won for you. I'm happy that your season's not over because you'd be going 0-3 playing Kansas City this week. I'm super happy that you get to watch football for another few weeks. But for you not to count your blessings and be super thankful that Saquon Barkley dropped the ball, A.J. Brown didn't play, I'm happy for you, bro. But don't go Kirko Chains. He stinks. Like, don't lie to yourself. The Eagles had no pass rush. That's not for here nor there. The Eagles won that football game until Saquon Barkley dropped the ball my 8-year-old could have caught. It's not the wrong play call. It's not the wrong play call. And if you think it's the wrong play call, you're not paying attention today to modern day NFL. I'm sorry. I run the ball. I run the tush push twice. Like, stop it. You sound ridiculous. I would take that play 100 times out of 100. I would take that play if you say to win the game, all you have to do is complete this pass, I would sign up for that every week. I didn't care if you're playing the Carolina Panthers. To win the game, all you have to do is – by the way, ESPN put that thing out there, like the percentile of him catching the ball. It's a 96% play. 96% of the time that play is thrown with that coverage and that space, he catches the ball and the game is over. I'm sorry. You're wrong. Your opinion is wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. I beg of you.
I mean, I'm not. I agree with you. I mean, it was a genius play call. That's the reason he was so goddamn wide open. They were expecting a run. They were expecting tush push. There was something between the tackles. That's what they were expecting. It was a great play call. They just simply didn't execute. Because again, to your point, if he catches the ball, they have a first down. The game's pretty much over.
No, it's over. It's victory formation.
Is anybody complaining about the play call if he catches it? No. Not one person. It was a good
and
play.
By the way, this is the worst stat in NFL history. I cannot believe that people are still talking about it. He does have the most drops in the NFL as a running back. He also has the most attempted. And so, like, you can do that all you want. His percentage of drop is like 4.1%. It's like fifth lowest out of any running back. But because they throw him the ball so much, he has the most number. It's like Brett Favre with interceptions. Like, he had the most interceptions. Yeah, he threw the friggin' ball the most. That's a dumb stat. It's a regurgitated ESPN bullshit stat. Sorry.
Well, and he had Daniel Jones throwing the ball, so
that's fair.
Take that into consideration as well.
You are correct. The fourth down attempt in the first half was a worse call. I agree with you. But that's not for here nor there. People make good calls, bad calls. You never talk about the fourth downs that they get. 4th and 4 at the 40-yard line, they get it, and then they go on to score. We don't talk about that. It's hindsight's 2020. It was the right play call. But you could have got the first down if you and run the clock. No shit. If you catch the ball, the game's over. All right. Control, any thoughts on that? Your thoughts?
I mean, outside looking in, I thought it was a great play call. And, Nick even doubled down on it afterwards and said, hey, if it got covered, Jalen knows to sit on it and take the sack, and we kick the field goal and go from there. I think the bigger point is, for me, I don't even understand the people that are saying you run the ball twice there. I think your points of blame either have to be on Saquon Barkley not catching the ball because it was wide open in the flat, or you're mad at Vic Fangio for calling the prevent defense as soon as he did, knowing that they needed a touchdown to score. It's like, hey, if they come down to kick a field, they can't come down and kick a field goal. I understand playing underneath coverage. You can't let them get 25-yard chunk plays at a time. Correct. So, I feel like you have to either fall on one side of the line or the other. Like, you can't be of the, you just run the ball and burn the clock there. You score 6. You can't fall on that side because we literally saw how fast the Falcons went down and scored. And to your point, Gene, about like the timing of it all, 54 seconds versus a minute, 3 seconds, whatever the case may be. Atlanta really wasn't in a hurry. Like, they could have called. They had timeouts left. They could have called one of their timeouts. They had the one. They had the one timeout because of the incompletion. There was no incompletion.
They ran out of timeouts. The Eagles got.
That's what stopped the clock. That's what stopped the clock.
Correct.
So, but regardless, they didn't. There was no spikes on that drive. None. There was no really running out of bounds. They got up to the ball and was good to go, basically. So I feel like you have to fall on either side of the fence there. I do think Vic Fangio the ball with how they were playing
100%.
defense there. But even outside, especially after the first play, you let the first play happen. It's like, all right, maybe we shouldn't be in this. Then the second big play happens, and you're like, all right, well, here we are. Like now they really have all the time in the world to go down and score a touchdown. And then the third thing is that Darius Slay had no eye discipline on the play. He got beat for a touchdown. He knows better than that. Got caught looking at the quarterback. Easy whip route for Drake London to catch a touchdown. He said afterwards, it was a great route by him, by Drake. But the reality is, Darius Slay that I know, that we know, he never makes that sort of mental lapse there. So I think if you blame anybody, you have to blame either Saquon, Fangio, or ultimately Darius Slay, because he's the one that gave up the touchdown there. Saying it's a bad play call, I mean, that's just foolish.
All right, let's move on to preview this week's games. Oh, but no. Before we preview, Cottrell has the overreactions from last week, and he's going to re-ask us after week 2. And I'm ready for them. Yeah,
so just knowing what we know now, I'll start off with the first one here. Given Tua's injury, and we talked about it earlier, the New England Patriots will not finish last in the AFC East.
They will still finish last in the AFC East. They have the worst roster in the AFC East, and they got a very, in my opinion, a very lucky game at Cincinnati, playing a Cincinnati Bengals team not ready to start the season, which they always do, and they lost a game at home to Seattle and Geno Smith. They're going to lose 12 games this year, and I still think the Miami Dolphins, without Tua, with Skylar Thompson, with that offense, will still be able to move the ball and win football games. I think Miami's fine. I think Tua actually comes back this year. And I honestly believe that the New England Patriots, and I don't think it'll be by a game or two. I think it'll be by more than a game. They finished last place too.
Yeah, I think McDaniels will figure out enough that that Miami still wins a couple football games here and there. The Patriots just have no sustained offensive attack, and they're going to struggle to score 17 points a game. So I still think New England finishes last in the division.
I'm changing my stance. I think the Dolphins now finish last. I think Mike McDaniel, without Tua being his quarterback there, we've seen the production from Skylar Thompson in the limited time that he's played. I think the Dolphins going out and signing Tyler Huntley, I think that was them bracing for Skylar to not be their quarterback.
That's the worst signing, though.
It is very weird. Very weird.
Like, I know that there's probably bad blood between them and Tannehill, but why isn't Tannehill on that roster right now? Is it because the unceremonious exit last time?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that factors into it, but I also I don't know if Tannehill is going to get a shot to go play on a better offense than Miami. If you're trying to get something long term, why would you not want to go out and play on the field with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
They could have got the "I'm Coming Home" remixed up.
Yeah.
I'm coming home. Like, get it on there,
Yeah. So I think the Patriots are going to finish ahead of the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be a dumpster fire. I mean, we know what happens to Mike, once the weather starts to get cold and they start to travel a bit. I think he won't have the cushion that he normally has later on in the season. So I think the Dolphins are in for a rude awakening.
Kyle, I know you're a fan. They're not going to beat the Jets Thursday. They're not going to beat the Jets tomorrow. They're not. It's in New York. There's no way it happens. Stop it.
The Jets haven't looked great by any means, but they're not winning that football game.
Gene, me and you are on the same side of this one. Justin Tucker missed yet another 50-yard plus kick. Bill.
Is he 2 of 11 in his last 11 50-yarders? He's 2 of 11.
Yeah, something like I think so.
11.
Because he was 1 for 9.
6 of them are 56 yards or longer.
What? I will say, I think of all kickers, the stat came out. The kickers are 34 of 36, 50-plus yards this year in the NFL. The only 2 misses have both come from Justin Tucker. Bill, has your stance changed that Justin Tucker is no longer the best kicker in the NFL?
Nope.
I said this, right, real quick, before Bill goes. I said this after the show, and I kind of regretted my statement of saying that Justin Tucker is no longer the best kicker in football. Let me word this for you again, okay? I want to word this for you. I don't think he's the best kicker in football. However, if there's a big moment at the end of the game to win the game in poor weather, there's not a kicker I'd rather have not Aubrey, not anyone than Justin Tucker. If there's a 55-yard field goal in 33-degree weather, in wind and rain, there's no one else I'd rather have than Justin Tucker. But as far as overall in the entire kicking game, Aubrey is the best kicker in football. I hate saying he's Cowboy. He's better. Each what it is. Now, I don't know what he's done in like deep clutch, like playoffs, wind, rain. I haven't seen that.
We may not ever see that.
Correct. But I just want to be clear.
My statement was literally going to be, come see me in January, because I agree with what Gene said. When all the chips are in the middle and you need somebody to hit a 55-yarder and it's 10 degrees outside, I'll take Justin Tucker.
Yep. I'm with you there. That's why, like, I got done this show and I kind of regretted my statement. I want to be clear. That's all.
I got two more. Saints will make the playoffs.
All right, that's not what the question was. You said the division. I still don't think they win the division.
I said make the playoffs.
Okay. I think now with the things, I'll change my stance here a little bit. I think with everything that happened with the Rams and the Rams losing Puka and Cooper Kupp, I think they'll compete for a wild card. I still don't think they're as good as the record and as good as they looked the first 2 weeks. I think they played a doubt. Just by the way, I think I looked at this before, but the record of teams after playing the 49ers and the Browns are insanely tough. Like if you look at teams that play the Browns and then the next week who they play, it's the same thing with the 49ers. It's just a physicality when you play a team like that and then you play another team. I honestly just truly believe to you that Sunday was a Dallas Cowboys being a Dallas Cowboys more than it was the Saints being this juggernaut of an offense. I think Sunday you'll find that out. I think Sunday in New Orleans, I think the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely handle the New Orleans Saints.
I'm not going to go that far, but I will. I agree with Gene's point about the Rams. I also think that I didn't have Chicago, and you guys both did. I don't think Chicago strikes any confidence into me right now that they're going to be a playoff team. So
I still think they will be.
We'll see. But you know, I think there's a chance. I would say the chances have gone up for sure.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Saints making the playoffs. I think I said that last week too. But
yeah, you've been on. You're a Saints fan.
Clint Kubiak being there, taking over. Offense has definitely been clicking. And the big thing for me is Derek Carr looks like a much better quarterback. He looks like the Derek Carr is.
They've scored on 15 straight drives.
That's a big part of that is Derek Carr.
Never happened before. That's insane.
Derek Carr's been playing efficient in the Kubiak offense. This is what I'm getting at there.
I love how they look in a few weeks.
Very fair. Very fair. I think the one thing that's looking good for him is Olave hasn't even been really going off. But with that said, won't stay on that too much longer. Last one. Any change on the Giants or the Panthers not winning a game this year?
I still think both teams will win a football game this year. I think the Giants outplayed the Commanders, and I think if they have a kicker, they win that football game. Their kicker getting hurt really killed them. Sunday was the first time ever that a team scored 3 touchdowns in a game and lost the game to a team that didn't score a touchdown. It's insane. But I think both teams will still win a football game. I will say this. Can I say this? Drew Lock will be the starter for the New York Giants by week 6. Not by injury, by benching.
I can see it. Bill?
No, I said last week, I think they both win a game. There's a reason it's only happened once or twice. It's really hard to lose every single football game.
I saw it firsthand.
It's only happened a couple times. I still think Carolina is the more likely out of the two because I do agree with Gene. I think as much as we come down on Daniel Jones, there is a decent amount of talent on that New York Giants team where I think they absolutely sneak a win in here somewhere. Carolina is the one to zero in on. But once you get to week, I think what we looked at it last week, I think it was week 10 or 12. If they don't have it by then it gets interesting. Yep. The only problem you have to run into too is they play a lot of those really good teams at the end of the year. If they're already clinched up and they're resting people, they might sneak one in there. Like I said, it's just a lot of things have to go right for you not to win a football game, like for everything to go wrong. So a lot of things need to align.
Well, I'm going out on my limb here. I'll be on my lone branch. Carolina Panthers won't win a football game this year. I think the Giants got 3, maybe 4. Not even just not me looking at their schedule. I think they got 3, maybe 4 wins on their schedule. Carolina Panthers, trust me when I say, this is a historically bad football team. It reminds me very much of the Cleveland Browns that went 1-31.
That's why you have that. That's why you have that opinion.
Yeah, it's misery wants company. Misery loves company. It's exactly what it is.
He wants as many teams to not have, and then he could say this team was 0-17, so they're the worst team in football. Like is Cleveland the most recent team to do it?
Yes,
and then the Lions.
The Lions also did it, but I don't even care about that. Like we're past that. I'm just saying I've seen this. I'm letting you guys know that this is what that Browns team looked like. The Panthers don't even give you false hope. At least back then, Cleveland was getting games like they'd be within 3, chance to win, miss a field goal, fumble, interception. Panthers don't give you any hope. So Panthers are gonna go on this streak for a really long time.
Bro, you warned me on how delusional this kid was. He is a delusional person.
I know. I told you. Andre is delusional Falcons fan.
Guys, let's preview some football games for this week before we get into trivia and college football and UFC and MLB. Preview a couple of games. We'll start with the Philadelphia Eagles at the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints look like the best team in football. They're playing at home. The Philadelphia Eagles on a short week on the road, coming off an emotional loss. The chips are stacked against Philadelphia this week. Cottrell, tell me why the Saints win and how big they win.
This game is in Philadelphia?
Nope, it's in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans.
No, I'll get into my points once it's my turn.
Funny thing, I probably would have picked New Orleans had the Eagles won on Monday. I would have picked New Orleans here. I'm gonna roll with the Eagles though. I think that this is one of those games where the Eagles have. This is one of those games they have to come together as locker room. Last week, obviously, they feel like that was a game that they absolutely should have won. Saquon knows that, hey, this is probably something that was my fault. Like, I think he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder. Jalen Hurts throwing the pick late. I don't really blame that too much on him because he's trying to force the ball downfield, make a play on the team for the team in that situation. But I think this is a game where they all come together and they find a way to win the game. So I think it's going to be close. I don't think the defense is going to stop New Orleans. I see it being a higher scoring game. I'm going to go 30-26 Eagles.
Yeah, Charlie.
I'm picking this, so I'm not going to get really far into it.
So am I. I'm picking it too. I hope we're on the other side of the fence.
We probably are. I think Eagles need to execute better. I think they need to be sharper. I think cliche Hurts needs to put his money where his mouth is. And if they don't, I think that divide that they have is gonna continue to. I think it's gonna continue to swell. I think it's evident. I think you saw even after the game, where I don't think Jalen Hurts is the reason they lost the game. Even though I don't think he played great, but
he played perfect until the last interception.
He didn't play perfect. Stop saying that.
He did.
Perfect. He was perfect.
Until the last interception, yes.
He's not perfect. Stop.
He was.
He missed a bunch of reads. He missed a bunch of open people and went to check downs. It's already been dissected. I'm shocked you watched the game 5 times already, so I'm sure.
I watched it twice.
I'm sure. All right. Well, then go back and watch it again.
22 or 29 before the pick.
Right. Throwing the ball 4 yards at a time.
85 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Right.
He had threw a touchdown. Right. And well, I'm going to make my point. I'm going to respond to you.
Oh, okay. I can't even get through my points.
Go ahead. Finished. I'll stop.
Regardless of Jalen Hurts, I think they need to execute better. I think they need to win the game. I almost think it's a must-win because I think after this loss, that was the most critical you've ever seen Nick Sirianni with Jalen Hurts. I don't think that relationship is even close to being repaired. And I'm if they start losing a couple more games here, I think the locker room is going to be an issue. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is the one that's going to, kind of fall victim to that. I think it's going to be Nick Sirianni, but you're looking at pretty much the same roster. They lost 9 of 11 games. If you go back to next year, there's something wrong somewhere. There's too much talent on this team for it to continue to be struggle. Last year, the coordinators took a lot of the brunt of the issues. Granted, Kellen Moore and Fangio have only had 2 weeks so far into the season, but it's like we said at the beginning of the show. Every week is a tough game. The parity in the NFL is getting better and better. The Saints are rolling. There's nobody playing with more confidence than the Saints right now. The Eagles need to go to New Orleans, and they need to play a good football game. If they don't, they're not going to win.
Okay. When did A.J. Brown get injured? Oh, wait, that was Friday's practice. They prepped the entire week with A.J. Brown. There's no prep with Jahan Dotson and Britton Covey in the game plan. The Philadelphia Eagles still efficiently moved the ball, carried the ball down the field. Jalen Hurts had 270 all-purpose yards in the game, was 22 for 29 before the interception. Did he make every perfect read? No, but he played great football.
You used the word perfect, not me.
He played great football in that football game. Up until that last interception, I disagree. I think he played great. That last pick, I hate where he threw it. I hate that concept. They had timeout in the pocket. They did not have to go for that all. They have a great field goal kicker. They need 15 yards. Bad read, 100%. Philadelphia comes out in this football game, and they dominate. The Saints aren't as good as you think they are, and the Eagles aren't as bad as they look. I think the Eagles' defensive line will eat against the Saints' offensive line that's been hurting, and I think right now you have Tyrann Mathieu and Marshawn Lattimer's question marks to play. They're both hurt. I think Philadelphia wins this game. I don't think it's rather close. I think Philadelphia dominates this one. I think it's a 31-14 win in New Orleans, and then everybody jumps back on the bandwagon of Philadelphia. I think they're a Jekyll and Hyde team all year, but I think this is a game they absolutely dominate.
I think this is Bill, you said that you feel like this game is almost a must win. And while I don't want to go that far, I think you're getting dangerously close to this team, reminding me a lot of that dream team when Michael Vick was the quarterback, and as talented as that team was, in the letdown that you had there as far as like the production on the field. I think as far as like losing the locker room, when you lose games, not even saying like losing this game to the Saints, like I don't think this is going to do it. It's going to be the matter of how you lose football games. So I think this is a win that could definitely just change the course of the season. I don't think this is going to be end all be all must win, but I do think that this could either be the start of something really great or the start of something really bad that reminds me a lot of that dream team when you signed Asamoah and, had Vic and all those guys on that team, and the wins didn't equate to the talent on the team.
It's fair. Next game on the docket this week, you have the Baltimore Ravens at the Dallas Cowboys. Baltimore versus Dallas. Baltimore 0-2, lost a home game versus the Raiders. The Cowboys went home and got the shit kicked out of them by the New Orleans Saints. Now everyone thinks the New Orleans Saints is the best team in football now. Like that's basically what we're dealing with, because Dallas laid an egg at home like they do every year, like they did the Broncos 2 years ago, like they did last year. They do it every year, week 2 or 3. Baltimore at Dallas. I love Baltimore in this football game. Not enough to pick it, but I think Baltimore wins this game. I think they right the ship. I think their defense is too good. I think Lamar Jackson will move the ball with efficiency, and I think they come out here in a must-win scenario for them. They can't go 0-3. I think they win this football game. I think they get their first win at Dallas.
I think it'd be really hard, looking back even 2 weeks ago when we started the season, and how they played against Kansas City, and even fathom that they could possibly start 0-3. They did not look good last week. I think they looked great against Kansas City. They were an inch away from, possibly winning the football game. I think they looked terrible last week. They play that way in Dallas. I don't, I agree with the overblowing the Saints. I don't think anybody's really saying the Saints are the best team in football, but I also don't think Dallas is is as good as everybody thinks they are either. It's a tough game. I mean, I think it's a big game for both of them. I think if Dallas drops 2 at home, 2-0, 2 in a row at home, that's a big deal. And I can't fathom Baltimore being 0-3. That is a deep, deep hole to climb out of if that's how you start. I don't like it enough to pick it either. If I had to put money on it, I would say Baltimore kind of has their gut check and they go into Dallas and win.
Well, I am picking this game because I do feel confident enough to pick it, and I feel very strongly about it. And I'll let you know a little bit more once we get there.
Well, we got to talk about 2-0 teams, guys. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0. The Los Angeles Chargers are 2-0. Jim Harbaugh has that team playing tough football. Mike Tomlin, Justin Fields playing efficient, tough football. This is a hard-nosed game in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's home opener. Back-to-back road games East Coast for the Chargers. I love Pittsburgh in this one. I'm all over the Steelers in this one. I think their defense will do it just enough to win this football game. I think it's very low scoring. I got it 17-9 Steelers.
I think this has the potential to be one of the most boring games of the weekend. I think these are going to be two teams that are going to pound the rock. Justin Fields, I think it's funny seeing like Justin Fields being on the opposite sideline of Jim Harbaugh, but then J.K. Dobbins being right next to Harbaugh on the same sideline. Like I love the irony in the game there. But ultimately, I'm rolling with the Steelers here as well. I think the Steelers have done a great job with limiting what they ask of Justin Fields, and he's running the offense to perfection. Now, I know they haven't scored a ton of points or anything like that, but he's been playing the way Mike Tomlin wants you to. Don't turn the ball over, and we're going to win football games. That's exactly what he's been doing. I think they'll be able to keep the run going against this Chargers team, and ultimately, I think J.K. had 2 huge games the first 2 weeks of the season. I don't think that's going to be the case against that Steelers defense. And if that's the case and you need Herbert to throw the ball more, I just don't think he has the weapons right now to take over a game like that. So I like the Steelers winning a tight one. I'll go 16-13, walk-off Boswell field goal.
It's funny. I have the same score. I just have it the other way. We looked at the draft and what they were going to do, and the Chargers took Joe Alt. They have 2 great tackles that are going to be able to slow down TJ Watt a little bit. I like the Chargers matchup line for line against the Steelers both ways. You mentioned J.K. Dobbins. This is kind of the guy that we thought he was going to be when he got in the NFL. He could just never stay healthy. He's running behind a great offensive line. I think you have 2 coaches that are kind of very similar. They just go about it a different way. Mike Tomlin is more. He's just not as quirky as Jim Harbaugh, let's put it that way. But Quentin Johnson for the Chargers has all of a sudden shown a pulse and remember how to catch a football a little bit. I think it comes down to the quarterbacks. I really do. I think both defenses are going to put both quarterbacks under pressure. I think whoever runs the ball better, and I think there's probably one big play that gets hit maybe in the entire game. And I'll take the Chargers to hit it over the Steelers. But I think it comes down I think it really comes down to who plays better between Herbert and Fields. And I'll take the Chargers 16-13.
Like it. Let's get into pick'em, gentlemen. Petrell, it looks like you have the lead in the NFL. What's the order this week, brother?
From worst to first. I love it. Middle spot was good for me. We'll roll with the same order from last week. Think Bill went first, I went second. Gene, you can bring up the caboose there, but I'm ready to rock and roll, keep this thing moving because NCAA has not been my forte so far.
I get it.
I suck at everything so far, so I'll go first.
Except Superdog.
Superdog, I'm killing. So I'll go first. I'll go Giants at Cleveland. Cleveland -6.5. I like the Browns at home. I think they finally got their feet underneath them last week. Really gritty win at Jacksonville. I think they come home riding the momentum. I know I do agree with Gene what he said earlier. I think New York played better than Washington, but that's still Washington. I think Daniel Jones against that Cleveland defense is a whole nother animal. Like I said, Cleveland home. I'll take the 6.5. Houston -2.5 at Minnesota. I like Houston here. I think that defense is going to travel. I think their offense will score points on that Minnesota defense. I think as great as Sam Darnold's playing, I think Minnesota's kind of, I don't want to say been lucky, but they've had everything go their way. Jettas is questionable. I think even if he goes, he's not going to be 100%. I like Houston -2.5 there. Philadelphia at New Orleans, I'm taking the Saints. I think -2.5. I think at home, we historically really don't play well there. They're rolling right now. I think anything that can go wrong for the Eagles at this point in a weird way is kind of going wrong. I think this is kind of the wake up call for them. I think they go down there, they lose 1-2, they come home, and hopefully that's the turnaround of their season. But the way New Orleans is rushing the ball, they're throwing the ball, they're doing. I don't think they're going to keep scoring on every possession. That's unrealistic. But to Cottrell's point earlier, they haven't really even got Olave involved yet. It's been everybody else. Eagles defense is not striking a ton of confidence in me right now against a team that's going to have some weapons. I think it's a good game. I think the Eagles come up a little bit short. I'll take the Saints -2.5.
All right, so my picks this week. First one, I like the Bears bouncing back +1.5 at the Colts. I think Anthony Richardson he's been hot at times when he's throwing the deep ball, but outside of that, he's not a guy that can really run your offense. And I think Anthony Richardson going up against that Bears defense, that's going to be a good opportunity for the Bears to create turnovers. And I think this is the kind of game where Caleb Williams can really start to get his footing and build off of the first two games really just not being what we thought would look like for him. Second game I like, one we touched on earlier, I love the Ravens -1.5 at the Cowboys. I think this is a game where Baltimore loves to run the football, and the Cowboys' weakness, in my opinion, is going to be right up the middle. I think if you can run directly at them, this can be a huge Derrick Henry game. And if you're putting them in the read option with like Micah and making him choose between coming down on Derrick Henry or making a play on Lamar, I think the Ravens really are going to have a great chance to exploit that matchup there. I think this is you could see Derrick Henry going for 100+ in this one, or Lamar going for 100, depending on how they want that game to flow. And then the last one that I like the under 41.5 Dolphins at Seahawks. Seahawks offense really hasn't gotten going. I know they scored, I think it was 23 or 27 last week against the Patriots, but Geno hasn't looked like that Geno that we saw 2 years ago. And with Skylar Thompson being the quarterback for the Dolphins now, we know historically that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle just don't have the same production in the games that he plays. So I think the Dolphins offense struggles a little bit. And with Mike McDonald's defense, I think they slow down that Dolphins attack as well. So I like the under 41.5 in that game.
All right. So I have 3 picks, and I think one of them is probably the easiest pick I've ever seen. And I'll preface it by saying protect yourself by waiting until Sunday. I'll give that third. I'll start with the 2 hour I gave out already. I like the Philadelphia Eagles +2.5 over the New Orleans Saints. The Eagles were a 3.5-point favorite on the look-ahead line. 3.5-point favorite on the look-ahead line. They were a 1-point favorite going into Monday Night Football. Now they're a 2.5-point dog. I think the first 2 weeks of the NFL always make you look like liars. Trust in what you believed in going into this season. The Philadelphia Eagles are a better football team than the New Orleans Saints. I'll take the Eagles +2.5 over New Orleans. Second one, I just said this a minute ago. Steelers home opener, Chargers traveling across the country, back-to-back weeks, East Coast games, 1 o'clock. Give me the Steelers -1 over the Chargers. I'll take them to win that football game. -1, -1.5, whatever you get it at, take it. I got the Steelers -1. And then the last game. This is so easy, guys. If Malik Willis starts this football game, put your mortgage on the Tennessee Titans -1. There's no doubt in my mind the Titans win this football game. Titans, ESPN bet has it -1. I just checked. I seen your look. Titans -1 over the Green Bay Packers. I don't care if it's -2, -2.5, whatever it is. If Malik Willis starts that football game, take the Titans. Take them on the alternate line, -6.5, -9.5. Bet them all up to 10.5. Titans win this football game by 100. I like the Titans -1 over the Packers for my stone cold lead pipe lock of September. I seen Cottrell's face as soon as I said -1. I literally was on ESPN bet a second ago just to double check the spreads.
I just think that at some point, it doesn't have to be now because you made the pick already, but at some point we have to come together and say, hey, this is where we're using odds from. Like last week going off, and it didn't matter in like the Chargers-Panthers game ultimately,
You're
but
right.
like going off of like Sports Illustrated one week and then ESPN Bet another,
But
and then FanDuel. I just don't think that's fair.
Well, finding the best line is actually very intelligent.
No, for sure. But when we're making picks against each
We're
other,
not sponsored by anyone, so I'm going to find the best line I can find. Until
again,
FanDuel wants to sponsor us, or until
I'm not even saying it has to be FanDuel. It can be whatever. Let's just go with a book and go from there. Is what I'm saying.
What's text in the group? We'll figure out that, and I have no problem with that. I just like I like being able to get odds. We can use Bet Openly. We'll get Gino involved. Whatever you use, Bet Openly odds. I love Bet Openly, by the way. Shameless plug for a guy I like. All right, trivia time. Now, Shally has threatened me yesterday, and I just want to be clear when I say this. Shally has threatened me yesterday.
Oh, I went and did it. It wasn't a threat.
Oh my God. This is not what the people have come here to see.
This is cake. You guys are gonna rip through this. Listen,
I promise you Cottrell wins this.
Too much. We've been not too much, but we got listen, we are an all sports podcast. We got to have some parity here. We can't keep doing, football or baseball or, Cottrell shameless LeBron stuff.
By the way,
that
right in the trivia, flipping the phone down. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm locked in, baby.
Here we go. We are going.
I'm going to lose this.
I don't think you are. I really don't. Like these I will tell you this. I brought the top 15 in case this is how confident I am that we're probably going to end in a tie. I did the top 15 because we're going to need tiebreakers. All right. Top 10 career earners. Listen to what I'm saying. Money earners. So it's not just what they do on the course. Golf players of all time. Some of these are so freaking easy.
I get it. I know a couple are easy.
30 seconds.
Yep. Well, we'll get the top 4 immediately fast. This is golf only, right?
What do you mean? What else would it be?
I'm just making sure. I've won. I'll go first. I'll take Tiger Woods.
What they made in their career, have it be golf tournament wins.
Yep. Don't you have to say anything else.
All of it. All right. Who'd you say?
I'll go first. I'll go Tiger Woods.
All right. Low hanging fruit.
Yep.
I'll go Rory McIlroy. Where was Tiger? I mean, not Tiger. Where was Rory?
Tiger is number 1. Rory is 7th.
Okay. I'll go Jack Nicklaus.
Number 2.
I'll go Scotty Scheffler.
That is strike 1.
Oh,
I'll take the endorsement already. I'll take the endorsements himself, Mr. Ice-T himself. Give me a little Arnie P.
That is Arnie P. Or actually, Arnold Palmer's 2. Jack is 3. Sorry.
I'll go Phil Mickelson.
There you
Phil's
go.
number 4.
Okay. Now I'm stuck, right? I knew my low-hanging fruit, but now I'm like I gotta just try to figure out stuff now. Okay.
Every other name on here is still a household name. 4 of them are current. 1 guy is a little bit in the past, but still, I'll say this, still a very relevant figure in golf right now.
Okay. I'll go Sergio Garcia.
No. So 3-2, both. Well, we're not doing strikes, so it doesn't matter. 3-2.
Let's see. I will go with. I'm trying to literally go through like the tour. Ernie Els.
Nope.
Give me Bryson for all his YouTube stuff.
Bryson is number 10. 4-2.
All right. I'll go John Rahm.
Nope.
Okay. Damn it. I feel like Brooks Koepka.
Fuck, that was gonna be my next one.
Brooks Koepka is number 8. That's 5.
That was literally gonna be my next one. I'm sick because I was going back and forth between.
I'm just trying to remember people that play golf. Is there any women on this list?
Is there a what?
Is there a woman on the list?
No.
Okay.
I'll go Jordan Spieth.
Incorrect. He's in the 10 to 15 group.
God
I hope
damn
this
it.
doesn't end in a tie now because we burned four of the tiebreakers. John Rahm is number 12, Scheffler's 13, Els is 14, and Jordan Spieth is 15.
God damn. So I got 12 through 15. That's stupid.
So it's Gene's. What was it? 5? What?
5-2.
2.
Yeah. You get him. Yeah. So there's 3 left.
Okay. So I just need one.
Yeah.
Yep. One I feel is very, very easy. The other one is pretty easy, and then there's the other guy who is retired, but still a very relevant figure in the game of golf right now.
Okay.
I got some guesses here. Like
I don't. I really don't.
You better start using them.
Bro, I've been pulling great triggers here. I just got 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
like
true.
If we're doing a 15 list, I'm losing. But
It's true.
all right, let me lock into. Oh my god, I'm just trying to think of like really popular names. There's a lot of Justins in the world. Fudge. Is Fudge up there? I'm kidding. God damn it.
10 seconds.
Did somebody say Ernie Els?
Yes.
I did.
Okay. All right, I'll go with Justin Thomas.
No, Justin Thomas is like 17th. I didn't write him down, but he's in the top 20.
All right, I feel a little better.
Go Dustin Johnson.
Boom. Dustin Johnson is number 6.
That's where I was at. I was there. Xander Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele is not correct.
God damn it! I'm gonna lose.
He's gone what? he's gone way up the list because of the year he's had. He's right on like the verge of the top 20 already.
All right, so Dustin was the one who I felt good about. I'm trying to literally think of like other guys who have either won a lot or I see them often. I'll go. I don't think he's actually on the list, but I'll go Tony Finau.
Nope.
Ricky Fowler.
Nope.
I'm going quick. I've went with Ricky Fowler for the merchandise because they like this clothing.
Yeah.
But I guess
John Daly.
No.
I don't know, bro. I was thinking.
If John Daly kept money long enough, he might be on this list, but he spends it faster than he makes it. So I don't think anybody really knows how much money he's made.
And we said Rory, right?
Rory's gone,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
You need number 5, and he's the old head, and number 9, major winner.
5 and 9.
Bubba Watson.
Nope.
Did I go Spieth already? I think I did.
Yeah, because he was 15.
Okay. Major winner. Morikawa.
Nope.
I didn't think so.
I'm thinking of a European. I'm trying to think of Europeans.
I was just trying to buy myself some time here.
Control's like, didn't think so. No confidence in that thing.
No, I have no confidence in half of it. I'm trying to think of the old head. That's what I'm trying to like really get into, the old head. But maybe I should stay away from that. Maybe I should just go with the current guy. He's probably number 9.
You just need one. You need one to wrap it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. God damn it. I'm so struggling right now.
Same.
Don. Wait, does Donald Trump count? He's a golfer.
No.
I'm kidding. All right, I'm kidding.
I'm not even 100% positive. I think one of you guys got a tournament pick'em right with the number 9 guy. I'm not 100% sure, but
well,
I think
it's not
somebody
Matsuyama because 100% you know I got that one right.
Yeah.
Well, but all right, hold on.
You can forget. You remind us every year.
Hey, PG&A.
All right, I got one.
10 seconds.
All right, give me Dude, I don't know. Greg Norman.
Oh my god. It's number 5.
Is it really?
Yeah. As soon as I saw it pop up in the chat, and I was like, unbelievable.
I'm looking. Look at my eyes. I'm not looking at the chat.
I don't know what I mean. You can look at the chat and look straight ahead.
I've been looking dead ahead, bro. I don't even know what's in the chat. Who's number 9? Who's your guess?
I was gonna guess Justin Thomas.
Nah, he guessed it before.
Justin
Thomas is like Justin Rose is somewhere in like the top 25. Justin Thomas is 17. Cam Smith is number 9.
I would never have got that. 0 chance.
I may have gotten there eventually, but it would have took a while. I wouldn't have thought he would have been in the top 10 though already. But he signed with Liv though, didn't he? That's probably why.
I live money, bro.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind was going. That's why I was like, Dustin has to be on there. Who was 11?
Fatty. Patrick Reed.
Never got that either.
He got live money. He's got live money. He's actually won a bunch of tournaments too. I mean, as much flack as he get. I mean, well, he does cheat, but he's won a bunch of golf tournaments.
Oh wow, I can understand exactly how you would think I was looking at the chat. Look at this. Bubba, Shoffley, Fowler, and Greg Norman. That's insane. Oh, well, he also said VJ.
VJ is in like the top 25, I think. He's him and Fred Couples both are like in the top 25. That's not bad.
Over That's not bad. A whole list of Kyle Edwards guesses. I'm like, wait, I just said all 4 of these guys.
See, that wasn't painful. It was fun.
It was fun. It was painful though. It's not a lie.
It wasn't painful. It was fun.
All right. Well, I'm up to 7, so we're getting closer.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row you use a chat to win. It's interesting.
Jesus Christ.
Can we disable the chat when we do trivia next week?
I don't know if you can. Is there a way to do it?
Is there a way to do it?
I don't think
so.
Gino
go right back on that losing streak.
God damn, bro.
I don't know.
I love how you question my integrity.
I'm just busting your balls.
I know. College football. Let's move into college football. Ranked versus ranked matchups this week. Why don't you lead us through a Cottrell like you do always?
All right. So the first one we got to go over because it's happening on Friday night. We have Illinois fighting Illini, taking a trip to Nebraska, take on the Cornhuskers. Nebraska's 7.5-point favorites. How do you guys see the game going?
I'll go first here. I like Nebraska comfy. I think Dylan Raiola and that team is rolling. We know when Matt Rule went there, this is what we were expecting at some point. I thought maybe we were going to get it next year. We got it this year. Nebraska is a pretty good football team. They're getting better. Illinois, I think, is sneakily better than a lot of people thought they were going to be. But traveling to the road at night, Memorial Stadium, Nebraska, that's a different animal. I think Real continues to play well. Seems really comfortable at home. I don't think they get slowed down there. I like Nebraska to win.
I'm gonna go with the Patrick Mahomes cosplayer. Dylan Raiola. I mean, this is so weird, bro. It's getting weirder and weirder. He did like the Mahomes like crowd celebration, complete like mimic this week. I mean, I get it, bro. There's some people that like you idolize in life, but like stealing everything from them, like from their facial hair to their number to their arm sleeve. It's just getting kind of weird. But with that being said, I do like Nebraska in this game. I am picking the game also, so it gives you a little insight. I don't know much. I'm not as good at college football as these guys, so I got to pick teams I've known, I've watched before. I'm on Nebraska, so I like Nebraska in this game big.
I like Nebraska as well. Give us the full sweep here. I think the pass game is just going to be too much, and I think with Matt Rule being there, he's changed the identity of that team as well. Defense plays hard, and I think Illinois. Granted, you know the hype they have is deserved from beating a team like Kansas, but I also think that Nebraska is going to be a different animal for him. So I like Nebraska to win the game. Next game, let's go to Utah going down to Oklahoma State.
This is a huge game in the Big 12. Enormous game in the Big 12. You have Cam. I'm never leaving college rising. Looks like he's going to be healthy and he looks like he's on schedule to start coming back from the hand injury. Oklahoma State has played
Allen. I don't want to leave college Bowman. Don't you dare leave him out.
Correct. Alan Bowman, who's looked okay so far. Oklahoma State has played 3 of the most exciting games all year, to be honest. They've had big comebacks. They've had wins at the wire. This is an interesting game. This is kind of, I feel like Utah's been clinical so far and kind of just done what they need to do to win games. They haven't been flashy, but that's not really how they play. It's going to be really interesting to see if they can go down to Oklahoma State, establish a run, let Cam Rising kind of do his thing off play action, and how that's, and what their defense is going to look like playing against the legit offense finally this year. Not quite sure what Utah's defense is. And they're going to get a dose of, obviously, Ollie Gordon and Alan Bowman and company. Utah is favored, which I found a little bit interesting. But I will go with what I know. And that being said, I pick Utah to win the Big 12 at the beginning of the year. I'm going to stick there. Oklahoma State was my sleeper in the conference, but they've just been too erratic defensively and, quite frankly, offensively. I'll go steady Eddie here, and I'll go Utah, get the big road win.
I got to watch Oklahoma State play a couple games. I picked them versus Arkansas, and I had no business winning that game. For whatever reason, Oklahoma State covered the 7.5 in overtime by scoring a touchdown and getting the 2-point conversion and then stopping Arkansas from scoring in overtime. They had no business winning that game. They progressively tried to lose that game. It was one of the weirdest things I ever watched in my life. For that reason, I'm taking Utah. Alan Bowman, and I told you I didn't think Arkansas was that good. And Arkansas came out there looking like world beaters versus Oklahoma State. And then they went out against UAB and barely won. So they were who I thought they were. Arkansas isn't that good. It's just Oklahoma State played terrible in that football game. I'm going Utah. I think they're a better football team. I don't, the home field advantage obviously matters. Cam Rising's health obviously matters. I think Utah's defense will travel, and I think Utah will win this football game. I'll go with Utah.
I'm going with Utah here as well. I think with what Utah can do, as far as just me trusting Cam Rising to not make the turnover that, ultimately breaks this game open. I think I trust Cam Rising a lot more than what I trust Alan Bowman. Now, obviously, I think Utah's defense is going to have to be huge in this one. Ollie Gordon cannot have a big game here. And if Oklahoma State can get Ollie Gordon rolling, especially at home, crowd behind them, chew clock, things like that, it's going to be tough sledding for Utah, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Utah's defense can hold serve and limit Ollie's big playability. And if Cam Rising isn't turning the ball over, I like Utah's chances to win this game. Next rank v rank matchup we're looking at USC versus Michigan.
I'll start with this one so Shally can kind of get his bearing with how bad Michigan is this year. I still think that Michigan still gives them trouble. It's in Michigan. I believe that. I don't know what Michigan did to basically play every game at home this year, but USC defense looks legit. Their USC looks very good this year. I'm going to stay with USC. Lincoln Riley. I think they win the game. I'm not going to predict them to cover. I think it's a close football game. I think Michigan stays in that game that entire time. I think Michigan probably covers, but I go with USC late. I think it's 24-21.
They already announced they're gonna go back to orgy because Davis Warren just throws the ball to the other team too much. I thought the line played a lot better last week. I think they're gonna be able to run. Edwards and Mullings both almost went over 100. They had damn near 300 yards rushing again. I think USC's defense has definitely improved from last year. I think if Michigan can run the ball, I think they have a good shot to win the game. As long as Orji can just have some semblance of passing game. This is not Texas. I called you silly for picking him to cover last week, and until they put their third string defense in at the end of the game, they were actually going to cover. Miller Moss, I think, is going to have. I think he's going to have a really good game. I think if he has a great game and goes in there, I think there's a good shot USC wins. I think it's going to be a really close game. If I had to pick the game, I would definitely pick Michigan to cover. It's gone back and forth between 5.5, 6.5, everywhere in between. It's come down. But I think it's in my gut. I actually think Michigan finds a way to win this game. I think that the whole facade of them competing and for the Big Ten this year, I think that's a ship that has sailed. But I think they beat USC at home. And I just don't think they're going to beat Oregon or Ohio State. But I think they get it done on Saturday.
I'm rolling with USC in this game. As far as, Big Ten goes, I love when Michigan wins as many games as possible up until Ohio State. So I wish I could pick them in this game. But just what I've seen so far from Michigan is that they have a quarterback problem. And until you solve that, I don't think you're going to have a good shot against good football teams. Davis Warren wants to turn the ball over every single time he drops back to pass. And Alex Orji has the opposite problem. It almost feels like he's scared to throw the ball like downfield. So I think until Michigan figures that out, they're going to struggle to beat the tough teams. And with USC's offense, as it stands right now, I'm still not all the way bought in with where they're at, but I think they can come in with a game plan to stack the box, make Michigan beat you over the top, because Alex Orji hasn't shown you that he wants to do that. So if you can find a way to slow down the Russian attack and, get stops early and then just put points on the board to make Michigan pass more and kind of get away from the run, you're going to be in really great shape. And I like the USC offense enough to do that. I think Miller Morris has a solid game, and I think it's probably going to be one of those 24-17, 24-14 kind of games. But I think USC barely covers, but I like USC to win the game in a lower scoring affair. Then the last game we got, it's going to be the 7:30 primetime game. You got Tennessee Volunteers going up against the Oklahoma Sooners. You want me to start with this one? Who wants to start? Bill, sounds like you got some.
I'll go. There's a lot of ties here in this game. Josh Heupel obviously went to Oklahoma, won a national championship there. Thought he was going to kind of, be the successor to Bob Stoops and be the guy there down the road. Didn't end up being that way. Went to Tennessee and started building his program there. He comes in with Nico, who is just, lighting the world on fire. We thought last week kind of might be a gut check for Tennessee, and they went in North Carolina State and, put 50 on the board. So traveling to Norman's a little bit of a different animal. But again, I think this Oklahoma team is still a season away. I think they're good. I think they're improved over last year. I think Brent Venables will have something ready for Nico to try to slow them down. But at the end of the day, I think Tennessee's defense is not getting enough credit. I think all the focus and the press has been on Nico and the offense. But they're not playing bad. I think they're an underrated unit. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're elite, but they're good. They play a lot of bend, don't break. They make you work to put points on the board. I don't think Oklahoma can get into a score fest with Tennessee. It's not what they can do. They're not built that way yet. They're not going to go up and down the field. I don't think they can sustain 8, 9, 10 play drives over and over if Nico's scoring quick. I like Tennessee to go in and get a really big win in Norman. I don't think they cover. I think it's 7.5, somewhere around there.
Yep.
But I think Oklahoma covers at home. But I think Tennessee gets a really, really big win that really kind of sets up the rest of their season and gives them a chance to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, I like Tennessee in this one. Better pass game, better run game. I'm going with Tennessee on both ends. Nico's looked great. They put up 50, 70, and 60 in their first 3 games. I get it. 2 of them were versus Little Sisters of the Poor. That's not the point. Tennessee looks really good. They're going to be able to run the ball. I love their coach. Love the system that they're in. And Nico's looked great as a freshman, man. You're going to deal with him for the next couple of years. Give me Tennessee in this one. I'll take Tennessee. And I think they cover too. I'm not picking it, but I think Tennessee covers this spread.
This is weird. I hate when we keep agreeing, but it's going to be more of the same here. I love Tennessee and I like them big. I think Oklahoma is a team that, you can say what you want about Jackson Arnold. I think he will be, a really good quarterback there, but that offense hasn't been humming how I thought it could potentially be earlier on in the season, especially against some of these smaller schools like a Tulane or like a Houston. I think with Tennessee, the way that they're playing right now, it's going to be a very rude awakening for that Oklahoma offense and defense. I think if you want to even have a shot to cover this game, Oklahoma would have to score within the 30s, because I think Tennessee has 38 coming off the bus, written all over them. So I like Tennessee. I like them to cover. I think this is going to be a game where we start to, like Bill kind of mentioned already, where we really start to put the onus on Tennessee, not only making it to the college football playoff, but Tennessee being a threat for the SEC championship, Tennessee being the second best team in the SEC, even after what we saw Alabama do last week, or seeing what Georgia had happened with Kentucky. Like, I think we're going to be talking about Tennessee as they're either the second or the best team in the SEC, just based on what you've seen through 4 games so far.
I'll tell you right now, I would pay full money to watch this Tennessee team go against Ole Miss, because those two offenses, the way they're coming, those two teams going against each other would be so much fun to watch.
I don't think they play. I think whenever they're
scheduled,
they don't.
You're not. So it's got to be college football playoff, but I would, or SEC championship game, but I would love to see it.
I'll tell you what, Georgia don't get their shit in gear, dude. Tennessee,
they look terrible versus Kentucky. Thank God that defense did what they needed to do.
Thank God Kentucky has no offense.
Yeah.
Thank God their coach decided to punt the ball instead of going for it on 4th and 6 and giving their team a shot to win the game.
Not ideal.
Gene, what did you say? You play to win the game?
You play to win the game. Hello?
Yeah. Kentucky's coach didn't get the memo.
He didn't. As soon as Beck hit that 35-yard completion or whatever, I'm like, oh, this is over now. They're going to win.
Honestly, as soon as they punted, I was like, they just ruined their shot. I was like, who really thinks that? And I get it. Your defense has been playing well in the game, but this is Georgia. They need 1 first down to close the lights out on this game. You think your team is stopping Georgia, because Kirby can be aggressive. If they get 3 yards, I don't care if it's 4th and 1 on their own 15. Kirby is going for it and saying, hey, my guys are better than yours. We're going to go out and get on out of here. So,
bro, how about that for Kirby, though, man? His entire career, he was known for a guy that just didn't have the stones to get it done. And when he got it done, man, he's just really kind of capitalized.
He has the confidence in his guys now.
Yeah.
Like once you get to the top of the mountain, it's you're afraid to go back down. Like, you're looking down, you're like, nah, I'm staying here. I'm doing whatever it takes to stay up here.
Yeah.
It's easier when it gets a lot easier too when you have the number 1 or number 2 recruiting class every year too. So,
I mean, he's part of that recruiting.
I was about to say.
I agree. I'm not knocking Kirby, but I don't think Kirby had some huge thing against them either.
I mean,
he couldn't be.
He was known for not being able to beat Alabama. He just couldn't do it.
All right. Well, that's everybody in the country.
I know, but
it wasn't Jimbo, College Station, they got it done a couple times against Bama.
Right.
When you're the guy at those schools, granted, Alabama hasn't always been that, but Urban used to get it done. Les Miles used to get it done. At some point, you have to be able to get it done against Nick Saban, as great as they are.
You're not the guy until you are the guy. Now he's the guy. Let's get into college football pick'em.
All right. So, Gene, this is your baby here so far.
So I will go first, because once again, listen, me being 7-2 is an absolute luck. All I'm doing is picking. By the way, I'm going back to the well again too, but I am 100% riding my favorites. These are absolute square plays. These are just things I've watched, and I'm just riding it. I've gotten super lucky on some of my wins. One of them being Oklahoma State covering a 7.5-point spread in overtime. How the hell does that happen? But I'll go first. Shally, you can go second. Cottrell, come up the caboose. I'll start with Nebraska and the Patrick Mahomes cosplay. I'll take Nebraska minus 7.5 over Illinois. Matt Rule has They got that program looking really good. Their defense is playing well. Dylan Raiola is playing very well. I'm going to go with Nebraska. I've seen them play. I've seen them play very good football over Illinois. I'm going right back to the well once again. Until Cam Ward proves me wrong, I'm riding the U. I picked him to make the college football playoff this year. I love the U. Minus 16.5 over South Florida. Give me Cam Ward. Give me the U. I think their offense moves the football. I'll take them minus 16.5 over South Florida. And then I'll take Ole Miss again. Jackson Dart again. He's covered for me every week. Minus 34.5 over Georgia Southern. I think this spread should be a lot higher, right? They just beat somebody last week by 36 points or 34 points on the road. Wake Forest, 34 points on the road. Wake Forest is better than Georgia Southern. Give me Ole Miss minus 34.5 over Georgia Southern. And for my super dog, I don't think NC State is as bad as they looked versus I'm just telling the truth. I don't think they're as bad as they look versus Tennessee. I'll take them plus 20 or 21 or 20 and a half, whatever you get it at over Clemson. I think Clemson, Cade Klubnik, I think that whole team is just stuck in the mud. Give me NC State to cover to 21.
All right.
Clemson's going to stomp a mud hole in NC State sucks.
You might be right. I couldn't find a good super dog. I picked a team that I felt was a little undervalued.
I've been like anti NC State since after week 1, so that's all.
It's fair.
That's just been me.
All right, I'm going to go Georgia Tech plus 10.5 at Louisville. Georgia Tech coming off the big win, obviously start the season. Their only loss is by possession to Missouri. I don't think Louisville is 10.5 points better than Georgia Tech. Louisville might win the game. They haven't played anybody yet. But that being said, I think Georgia Tech hangs in that game, so I'll take the 10.5 and run there. Second, California plus 3.5 at Florida State. This isn't me bullying Florida State. I just think Cal's a better football team. Went on the road, beat Auburn and Jordan O'Hare, shut down a decent San Diego State team last weekend. I think they're going to go to Florida State, and I think they're going to compete. Cal traveling to Florida State and the spread only being 3.5 tells you all you need to know. Mike Norvell's on fire. He doesn't even know it. That's how hot his seat is. I like California to cover. They might win the game outright. Last, Boston College minus 6.5 at home against Michigan State. I'll take Bill O'Brien in that rushing attack at home. Michigan State, again, I just don't think they're there yet. Got a little overconfident with them at the beginning of the year. But I like Boston College and Bill O'Brien at home to cover there. Superdog, Bowling Green, plus 22.5 at Texas A&M. I will take Bowling Green. I think, again, they're a really good MAC team. I don't think they're going to go in there and win the game by any means. 3 touchdowns for an offense, that's been very inconsistent at times at Texas A&M. I think Bowling Green steals me a couple more Superdog points.
I was waiting for you to take Kent State.
No.
Gene, no. Worst team they're the worst team in FBS.
They probably are.
I know. Tennessee could have put 100 on them last week if they didn't pull everyone.
Yeah. No, like legit. 100 plus points. But I'll go through mine here rather quick. First game I got James Madison plus 10.5 at North Carolina. James Madison's a team that's only given up 13 points all season. So for you to think that defense won't travel against a North Carolina team that lost their starting quarterback week 1, I just don't know how that spread is as high as it is. Obviously, Omarion Hampton is really talented, North Carolina backfield. But if they find a way to slow down the run, I think that's the game that they can not only cover, but find a way to win if they can limit turnovers in that one. Second game I like the Cincinnati Bearcats minus 3.5 at home versus Houston. Brendan Stormsby has had a great start to his career at Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's done a great job of being consistent in the rushing attack. Houston is a team that's just coming off their first win. They haven't looked great at all so far this season, and Cincinnati is really a couple plays away from being undefeated so far. So I like Cincinnati at home to roll Houston and cover that 3.5 point spread. Last game I like here, I'm going to the MAC as well. I like Buffalo plus 14.5 at NIU. Look, I know NIU has all the hype right now. They beat Notre Dame, and they're in the top 25. But the reality of the situation is these MAC matchups are always tough. 14.5 points is a lot, especially for Buffalo. Buffalo Bulls team that loves to run the football. I think this can easily get into a game where you see a lot of clock being chewed and NIU not even have the opportunity to go up as big as 14.5 points. So I like Buffalo to just bring the NIU hype just down a little bit more to ground level. Still think NIU wins, but I think that's a really tight game. And then for my super dog, I am also going back to the well. I like Arkansas State plus 21.5 at Iowa State. I don't think there is a team in the country outside of Kent that Iowa State should be favored 21.5 points over. Look, I get it. They beat Iowa. Well, the reality is Iowa stinks. I don't know who else needs to hear it. Alex, I hope you're somewhere in the chat. Iowa absolutely stinks. I like Arkansas State's rushing attack to be able to keep that game rather tight. I still do think Iowa State finds a way to win, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Arkansas State went out on the road and got the 21.5 point, upset win over this Iowa State team.
All right, well, let's move on. We talk about a little UFC. Let's recap a little UFC. And by the way, I don't know if this news came out earlier today, but I just seen it. And did you hear about the 76ers striking a deal?
It's going to be such a mess, dude. Like,
what the hell are let me just save it because I was going to use it anyway. So I just seen it. I was just making sure because I was literally just going through my couple. But UFC, let's break down the card. Guys, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we went 6 for 6, 2-0, all of us. Valentina Shevchenko absolutely dominated that fight. Was not even a question. Complete control. It was almost laughable. Your thoughts on the Valentina fight?
Domination, I think, kind of covers it for me. I'll be brief. 50-45 on all three cards. Like you said, opening bell, control, came out. I don't think she did anything crazy different, but whatever she was doing, Grasso was not ready for. Could never get her offense going. It was very
16 minutes of control time. Just ragdolled her.
Yeah, very, very. If you're not going to use domination, clinical would be another word I would use. It was just very matter of the fact. I'm better than you, and I'm going to beat your ass for 25 minutes. And that.
When was the last time you seen a 5-round fight in which someone only landed 18 significant strikes?
Might be the only time.
I've never seen that before. In a 5-round decision fight. It was domination. And by the way, might have been one of the most boring fights I've ever watched in my life, but that's not for here. By the way, the Sphere, let's talk about the Sphere for a minute. That place is awesome, but that card took way too long. Like that, I don't need a whole friggin' weird intro video to everything. It was like so long. That card ended at 2:15 a.m.
That's good, because they wanted to showcase the Spear. That's why.
I mean, I think it was cool. How they did it was cool. I think, especially late, it was awful because the last two fights went to decision, and the last two fights on the card, if those go to decision, it feels like the night is being dragged on forever and ever.
Last time you see a UFC card go to 2:15 a.m.
We've had some. We've had some.
Remember any
near somewhat recent too. Like this year, we've definitely had a couple that have gone late. But I mean, I thought the presentation, how everything looked, was absolutely phenomenal. Could they have gone without some of them? Yeah, absolutely. In between every fight, maybe you didn't need to see what all they showcased, but I loved the look of it. I loved how immersive everything was within the fight. And then as far as this fight goes with Shevchenko and Grasso, I mean, I think this went almost to the T how we all thought it would. Now, did I think Grasso might win around here or two? Maybe, yeah. But at the same time, I think Shevchenko, she knew that she should have won the last fight. And I feel like she came in and she's like, hey, I have to leave no doubt, because if I leave any doubt, it might go against me, again here. So she went in. She was absolutely dominant. You're right, Gene. It was a boring fight, but I mean, Shevchenko did exactly what she needed to do to get her belt back.
We can go right to the main event, because the main event was I wouldn't say it was equally as boring, because to me it was somewhat entertaining how much of a psychopath Merab is. The guy is just different, right? He's kissing O'Malley on the back. Even in the 5th round, when he was just basically got into this realm where he knew the fight was over and then got caught and he got kicked in the stomach, and it was the only Sugar Show looked flat. He looked like I opened a can of Coca-Cola at like 9 a.m. I let it sit until 9 p.m. and then I tried drinking it. Like the bubbles were gone. Sugar Show looked flat. After the first round takedown of Merab, controlled the fight. I don't know how many rounds you gave Sean O'Malley. I think the scorecards were severely ridiculous. I didn't give O'Malley 2 rounds, and I don't know how any judge did.
I had a 49-46.
I had a 49-46 too.
And O'Malley only got the 4th?
Yeah, but the 2 scorecards had a 48-47.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they gave him the 2nd and the 4th.
2nd, yep.
I don't know how. Merab controlled the fight. It was no doubt to me after that fight who won that fight. And when I heard 48-47, I'm like, oh, thank God the 49-46 was in there. Like all, judges scored about 48-47, 49-46, 48-47. Like you knew the winner. But like when you hear 48-47 in a fight, you think one guy completely dominates. I just I hope they don't do this.
Yeah. Because if you get 3 48-47s, you're like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
I didn't feel like that fight was 48-47. I feel like to sell anyone at home that was a 3-2 fight. I don't know what you're watching.
I agree with you. I think it was the one time that he came out and he looked kind of hesitant to me, and that's different for him. And I think that all is a tribute to his ground game. I think he was afraid to let his hands go because he knew if he missed a couple punches, he was going to come right underneath and put him on his back. I think he dominated. I think he looked great. I think it's a horrible, horrible matchup for O'Malley. And I think you saw that. I think he finally fought an elite kind of grappler / ground guy. And
let's be fair. Aljamain Sterling's an elite grappler and an elite ground guy, but he fought a guy he couldn't catch. And that was the difference, right? Like Merab was just, and the way he set up his takedowns, it was it's so good. The way his takedown setup is one of the best. Like he comes with an overhand right and then takes you down. He comes with an uppercut left and then takes you down. Like the punch is irrelevant because that's not what he's trying to hit you with. He's just trying to get you to back up so he can take you down. Merab is just different.
Rob's definitely different. I mean, that's why we all picked him to ultimately win this fight. His tenacity when it came to takedowns was going to be a factor in it. I mean, it came out either yesterday or earlier today that Sean O'Malley tore his labrum and has got to have surgery on it. Maybe I don't know when that moment happened, but maybe that was why he was more timid towards the back half of that fight. I know you say it's just right after the first round, but I think it's a number of things. When you're going in there, you're getting taken down. Like that's how Merab needs to be close to you to take you down. So I think Sean game plan probably going in was try and strike from distance, and ultimately it didn't work out for him. I just think it was styles make fights. We say it all the time. Merab was a horrible matchup for him, and ultimately I think Merab is he should have been your champion probably about a year and a half ago. I think he's been the best in the division for a long time.
One of the most interesting parts of the fight was in the 3rd round when Merab took him down, looked like he was ending the round on top, kissed him on the back. Herb Dean goes, yo, dude, stop. What are you doing? Merab gets up, starts walking to his corner, and Sugar Show gets a clean shot at the back of his head. Like, thank God he didn't connect on that because that would have been one of the weirdest knockout endings ever. Because you could tell Merab's like, oh, the round's over. He just got up. He thought that because he was kissing him on the back, and the judge is like, not judge, the referee in the fight, Herb Dean's, he's like, stop. So he stops, he gets up, he walks away, and then gets punched in the back of the head. It was kind of wild.
For sure. Definitely is a wild one.
Who's next for Merab?
Umar Nurmagomedov.
It'd be a great fight
for that one.
Yeah. Hey, you better get your nap in beforehand as well, because that will be a 5-rounder. Like that will go all 5 is what I'm saying.
But that doesn't like their level of grappling and tenacity it doesn't matter to me. Like that doesn't bore me.
No, I'm not saying it'll put you to sleep. I'm saying that that's gonna fight may come on at 1:30.
Stay up late, yeah.
Yeah, that fight may come on at 1:30, and you need to be able to stay up until 2:15 if you want to see the end of it.
Casuals don't like matches like that because they don't know what they're watching.
Yeah, but Shevchenko's was just like reminded me of an old GSP fight, like where it was just technically just destruction.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It wasn't like it was fun to watch. Just outpointed her the whole fight. And I'm not a casual. It was boring.
Agreed.
Let's move on to Major League Baseball. Magic numbers are around us. The Baltimore Orioles have completely fell apart. The New York Yankees are pulling away with the division. The Guardians are pulling away with their division over the Royals. The Astros are pulling away with their division. The Phillies their magic numbers tonight. Or no, for playoffs is tonight.
Playoffs tonight. Milwaukee, somebody lost earlier today, so Milwaukee clinched the division actually right after their game started.
The only division that's really up for grabs is the Los Angeles Dodgers, as the Padres have been on a hell of a run. What are the odds you give the Padres of catching the Dodgers?
I think it's 3.5 right now. Yep. Dodgers are winning right now 6-3. They got their asses kicked last night, though, and the Marlins of all people. But 3.5 this late is a lot.
It is.
It's a lot. The Dodgers are going to win the division. And Arizona is, kind of finally found. Arizona's, I think, only a game and a half behind San Diego.
Correct.
Arizona's finally found their form from last year. They're going to make it as well. I think the crazier thing is, dude, you got like a 40% chance the Braves aren't going to make the playoffs.
100%.
And that's wild. Not really when you consider what they've lost, but I think it'll probably go down to last week, but I think the Dodgers will win that division.
Crazy part about that too is you talk about the Braves potentially not making the playoffs. Even if they slide in the back door outside of Philadelphia, I don't know if there's, and you guys may even feel different, but I don't know if there's any team that still wants to see those guys in the playoffs. Like they have the type of roster that can I don't want to just say flip a switch, but they have the type of talent where if guys, they can score runs literally whenever they want to if they're on.
Not this year.
Not this year.
I'll tell you right now, this is probably the worst season you've ever seen for Matt Olson, the worst season you've ever seen for Austin Riley, the worst season you've ever seen for Orlando Arcia, the worst season you've ever seen for Michael Harris II. Like, I'm not kidding when I tell you this.
For sure.
This is the Braves, and I'm trying to word this rightly. A lot of good ball players not playing good baseball.
Correct, but in a 7-game series, you don't think that can turn around? Like, I think when you only have to win.
I don't want to see the Diamondbacks. That's what I don't want to see.
I mean, I get it. There's other teams you don't want to see, but
they kind of have our number. It's weird. The Diamondbacks to us are how we are to Atlanta in the playoffs.
Yep.
Atlanta doesn't have the pitching this year either. I know. Like outside of us, Strider does really well against everybody else. Max Fried has not been himself, and then behind him, they're pitching a bunch of young kids that don't have an experience. For like a 3-game series and a wild card, depending on what Sale does, but there's a lot of question marks with that team. And again, you're missing your 2 best players. Austin Riley's still hurt; he's not playing. Matt Olson taking a huge step back. They lost Acuna. They lost their best pitcher. It's a lot. To some degree, you almost have to kind of give them credit for still being in it, to be honest.
I mean, is there any just for the wild card? I'm just asking this question just because is there any team playing better baseball right now than the San Diego Padres? Like I don't know if I want to see them. Like Dylan Cease is pitching lights out recently, and their lineup is just so deep, man. Machado, Cronenworth, Jerkson, Profar, Luis Reyes, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis. Like, they're loaded.
They're all hot right now. I mean, they're all also a bunch of guys that are all hitting 250 this year. Not that you ever want to see a lineup like that, but I mean, I'll still play the Padres before I want to play the Dodgers, or Milwaukee. I think is.
I would play Milwaukee a million times over before I played.
Agreed 100%. Arizona's the weird team for me. Arizona's the team I don't want to see if I'm the Phillies. They just have that thing. Just like we have against Atlanta. It doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. We struggle against them in the postseason.
Yep.
On the AL side of things, do you guys think the Tigers steal the last wild card spot?
I don't know what they're doing tonight. I know
they're up 4-1.
Scuba was pitching tonight, so I mean that would make sense. I mean, it would be great for them to get all those young kids, a bunch of experience. But I would say this: if you get them in a 3-game series, you have to like your odds. You're obviously going to face Scooble probably game 1, but after that, I mean, you're talking 2 guys that you're going to probably feel really comfortable in beating. It's going to be some kind of combination like Casey Mize, which is wild because you figure if they would have kept Jack Flaherty, now it's kind of a team you don't want to see in a 3-game series because you're going to get Scooble and Jack Flaherty game 1 and game 2. But I mean, listen, Detroit's a big baseball city. So, I mean, if they do get in, I think it would be really cool for them. I think it's going to be cool that Kansas City's going to get in. And then obviously the Yankees, Orioles, Indians, Craig Kimbrell got Astros. Craig Kimbrell got designated for assignment today, by the way.
Not shocked.
Nope, me either. And then it'll be interesting to see who gets the last spot. So
I think it'll end up being the Twins. I think the Twins hold on.
Probably.
I think Royals, Twins, Orioles. I think that's almost. I don't know. I think the Twins hold on.
Let's see. Have they started their game yet? Twins.
They're playing the Guardians right now.
Guardians 2-2.
Yeah, ninth
bottom
inning.
Of the 9th.
Diamondbacks won again. Angels won again.
Mets are going to win tonight. So
Padres shut out the Astros 4-0.
Braves are gonna hold on too. So I mean, both last spots for the wild card get tight here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. I mean, you want the last week of the season to matter. If everything's all buttoned up, the last week of baseball becomes unwatchable almost because you start getting everybody rest. You don't throw pitchers. You let them rest. It gets you start testing your knowledge of the farm system real quick because they start calling up people you've never seen.
It also sucks too that first round of the playoffs because it's like, hey, these guys were sitting for a week and a half and now they're back and it's trying to find the rhythm again. And
well, yeah, but it's not seeing live pitching and they'll get starts and at bats here and there, but it's like you don't get consistent ABs for a week and then all of a sudden you're like, now I got to go face Zach Wheeler. Like it's not ideal for scoring.
And I think the Phillies will end up wrapping up the number 1 seed 3 games to go. So the Mets have the last series versus the Phillies. I think that everything's wrapped up by then.
You would think their magic number for home field is 7. So if they get there, if they keep winning, the World Series would have to come through Philly, which would be cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk more playoff baseball as we get closer to the playoffs.
Talk about it a lot next week, probably.
Yes, sir. Let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me.
All right. So let's see. I got to get the kid's name again. Football.
No, I thought you were going to use mine. I was like, no way.
Where are you going? Because I might.
I'm in baseball for mine.
Oh, okay. No, I'm college football. Right. So since the last time we went off the air, there has been another driving incident at the University of Georgia.
Jesus.
I mean, this marks number 26 in the Kirby Smart tenure. Georgia cornerback Daniel Harris was arrested and charged after he was caught driving 106 miles per hour. At what point, Kirby, do you realize that you have a problem? Like, I just don't understand what we're doing to this point. Alex brought it up either in our chat or on Coast to Coast last week. Uber should be like the official NIL sponsor at Georgia. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than this. At what point are you going to say, hey, you guys are not being responsible? I know there's some of you that are. We've had 26 instances. Obviously, there's 85 scholarship players on the team. At some point, you got to say, hey, we're not giving you guys cars anymore. You guys come to campus with the cars you have. We're not giving you the Lamborghinis or the Hellcats. You guys got to bring what you had in high school, what you were rolling around in. At that point, hey, if you guys are still having your problems, we got to figure out our next solution. Stop giving these kids at Georgia the opportunity to drive these super expensive cars that go very fast because they are not responsible enough to handle it. And for Kirby Smart, I get it. He kicked Rara off the team. Well, Rara actually didn't have a driving issue. He had an issue where it was domestic dispute. So a completely other issue. Kirby has done absolutely nothing with any of these kids that get caught drinking and driving too fast, reckless driving, whatever the case may be. And at some point it has to stop, or unfortunately we're going to have another situation where there's going to be innocent lives lost here. So this week for me, Kirby Smart and Daniel Harris for making a dumb decision again behind the wheel.
Kidding me.
I think that's the mind-boggling part of it for me. Like, this isn't something that's escalating and we're waiting for the shoe to drop for something really bad to happen. We've already had the death, and then we just continue to let it happen. Like, that it's crazy. And I'm not going to go on my NIL rant, but I've said it before. The money is one thing. These kids having access to these cars, I knew was going to be an issue. If you're a car guy and you're that young, that's how you're going to drive those cars. You don't get a Lamborghini to go 25 miles an hour. You don't. It's stupid. But anyway, for mine this week, I'm going to baseball. I'm going to minor league baseball. I'm going with Derek Bender, the Minnesota Twins single-A catcher, 6th-round pick out of Coastal Carolina, was in the single-A playoffs last week, or ending the regular season. And he pulled the Bull Durham. He was sitting there at games and telling batters what pitches were coming. They proceed to lose the game. They start to tell their coach, like, hey, we're getting the box and the catcher's telling us what's coming. And they started hitting home runs. And then obviously the coach that they were playing went over and talked to the Minnesota coach. And they're like, hey, your catcher's tipping on your guys' pitches. And they immediately benched him for the last 2 games of the season and then released him. This kid was a 6th-round pick. He's out of Coastal Carolina. He wasn't a bad prospect. Signed him for like $300,000. Minnesota released him immediately. And when the only comment that he really made for any kind of reasoning was that he was tired and he just wanted the season to end because they were in playoff contention to the very end. That game eliminated them from making the playoffs. So there was no way they were able to bring him back in that clubhouse. Obviously, it was going to be a huge issue. I would say somewhere along the line, somebody probably gives him another shot. But if not, man, you potentially just ruined your career in baseball before it really got started for no reason. You could have sucked it up for 2 more games. So this week for me, man, this is one of the dumber ones of the year. But
Kidding me.
I had a couple NFL ones I was going to use until I finally found out that the situation happened in Philadelphia with the 76ers. Just going to talk about the Carolina Panthers organization. I'm just going to talk about Will Levis again, throwing the ball backwards and Callahan's response. But I think this needs to be said. And Josh Harris, I hate you. Like, I legitimately hate you. Josh Harris, the owner of the New Jersey Devils, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Washington Commanders, shrewdly struck a deal for the 76ers to get a new $1.3 billion concourse in Center City, Philadelphia. Actually, not even Center City. They're going to put it in Chinatown. I just not trying to be an asshole when I say this. This is going to be such an awful idea. And if you're a 76ers fan, going to see a 76ers game is going to be harder and more difficult for you to do. If you see what a lot of cities, I guess, particularly New York, people are so used to the subway station and the way things are set up for Madison Square Garden. In Philadelphia, we have a concourse area that anybody can drive to and park their car. This is not going to be that way for the 76ers. And the majority of season ticket holders for the 76ers are from outside the city of Philadelphia. These are suburban guys in Delaware County, Montgomery County, and Chester County that go to see the 76ers. Well, Josh Harris threatened to move the team to Camden to be the New Jersey 76ers. So Cheryl, the mayor of Philadelphia, struck an agreement for a $1.3 billion stadium to be built in Chinatown in Philadelphia, and it's not going over well. There's a lot of people, season ticket holders, business owners in Chinatown that are not happy about this. And the Philadelphia Flyers will now have their own concourse. They will take over the Wells Fargo Center in the concourse area, which will be great for the Flyers. But a $1.3 billion stadium will be built in Chinatown, Philadelphia, and one of the least safe cities in America. Makes a ton of sense to do this. Josh Harris, you are such a money-grubbing piece of shit, and I'm sorry I can't go any further with this. Like, I can't stand you. You make me want to root for a different team. I cannot wait to the day that you're forced out of ownership or someone finds something on you because you're a piece of garbage. I can't stand you. You own the Commanders, the Devils, the 76ers, and that's not any bit of a conflict of interest, just scumbag. Go sell the team. We don't want you. We hate you. We can't stand you. And I think I speak for every Philadelphian when I say this is an awful idea. It's terrible for the city of Philadelphia. It's terrible for the 76ers. It's terrible for season ticket holders. So screw you, Josh Harris. You're an asshole.
Kidding me.
Tell me I'm wrong, Charlie.
No, you're not wrong. I hate it. I mean, when you threatened to move to Camden, I was even at the point. I was like, "Go ahead, move to Camden. I'll never go to another goddamn game again."
I'm not going to a game, period. I'm not going to that spectacle.
Center City is going to be a disaster. If you've never been to Philly, with just the sheer logistics of it, during
not during 76ers.
Correct. With the constant construction that's always going on. Now you're going to knock a bunch of stuff down, close another 10 square blocks for demolition, then construction. Not to mention this is going to be held up in court for years because there's no way all those people in Chinatown are just going to go down without a fight. This thing won't get done till like 2040. It is so obnoxiously stupid. And why? Because the city wants the attraction in Center City because there's so many arenas that are downtowns in other cities now.
They didn't want to lose the Philadelphia 76ers. The city fought against it. The mayor fought against it.
Correct. But then what happened? Push comes to shove. Exactly. You talk about the money. Yep, exactly. He was too cheap because he didn't want to buy land down in South Philly somewhere and build his own damn thing like they had before. Is what it is. Again, you're going to see a lot of Sixers games on a random Tuesday night, and there's going to be 12,000 people there. Yep. It's not going to be sold out. You're absolutely stuck with regional rail at that point. So you can't leave there after 9-10 o'clock because you won't be able to get home on a train. It's not gonna be connected to the subway. So it's not like Gene said, all these people that have to come in from Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, wherever, they have to get on a train to go home because there's nowhere to park. There's nowhere to park where they're going to build this thing. Nowhere. So everybody's going to have to come in almost through public transit. So yeah, if they're playing like an 8 o'clock TNT game, heck, congrats. You're going to watch the first 2.5 quarters, and then you're going to go sit in a train station to make sure you catch a train home out to your outside station because they don't run past midnight. Like, it's so dumb. It's such a money grab from Josh Harris so we can say he has his own basketball-only facility.
He wants to rent it out to concerts. He wants to rent it out for all these different venues.
Yeah, it's fine. He's not going to get what he thinks he's going to get for that because all the normal acts are still just going to play at Wells Fargo like they do now. Why? Because it's easier for everybody.
Yeah, the parking and everything, like that's a very underrated thing because in a lot of cities you don't have that where it's literally right at the arena or right at the stadium, like how it is with Link or even with Wells Fargo. So it's definitely going to suck. Because I know that's the case in Cleveland. There's not parking right at the stadium. There's not parking right at the Cavs arena. And it's not the worst thing in the world because we have a ton of parking garages in the area. But at the same time, Philly has probably one of the most convenient parking situations that you could probably ask for, it being literally right at the stadium and not having to do too much walking or anything like that. So
and to take it a step further, it's not safe. The train station in Philadelphia smells like piss. It stinks. I'm not laughing. It's
I know you're not joking. I know you're not
wrong.
joking.
and it's not safe. People get robbed there constantly. The L, like they're gonna have to take the L, walk 6 blocks to get to the stadium. If you want to leave at the end of the game, you're gonna have to walk 6 blocks to the Broad Street line to basically take the L home.
Yeah, you're and
The regional rail will run up to the stadium, but you'll basically have to take the L to get home.
Yep. Or go to Front Rock, and that's just as bad. So it's going to be a mess. Like I said, it's going to get held up. Like you can't tell all these people out of businesses that like for the year it's going to take to build this thing, or probably longer. And again, people are like, oh, like Nashville or like whatever. Like, yeah, cool, that's fine. That's it. Nashville wasn't built in freaking 50. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to build a stadium in the middle of a city with an infrastructure that's 200 years old. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's so dumb. And like I said, you're going to see it. Like, it's not going to be worth it for parents. Like, parents are not going to take their kids on the train on a Tuesday night to go to a Sixers game. They're not. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
You're going to like anything that's during the week, that place will be half empty.
Completely.
What's going to be? It's going to be such a corporate vibe because the only people that are going to take the tickets are going to be all the people that work downtown because they can just walk there. I'm not getting on a train at 4:00 and then go down there, fight all that for me to have to leave at halftime anyway and take my kid home. So I make sure I get home to Bucks County by 11 o'clock and have my kid in bed to go to school the next day.
100%.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
All right, well, that's all we got for you guys. Any final thoughts? Cottrell, Shally?
I got nothing today.
Nothing.
I don't either. Great show. Appreciate you guys all in the chat. Appreciate everybody checked in. Appreciate everybody supports us. Make sure you give us a like, share, follow. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell, Uncle Scholastic Shally. I'm the NFL genius. This is Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, and we are signing out.